Evet, panelimizi başlatıyoruz kıymetli konuklar. Öncelikle hoş geldiniz bu salona da. Panel tıbbi cihaz ve malzemelerin geleceği başlığını taşıyor ve 3 bölümden oluşuyor. Birinci bölüm katılımcılarla hızlı tanışma. Zaten şimdi moderatörümüzü davet edince moderatörümüz devam edecek ama ben isimleri bir bir zikretmek istiyorum. Moderatörümüz Profesör Doktor Tony Young, NYS England'dan, Zoom'dan modere edecek ve İSEK Başkanı Profesör Doktor Sayın Cengizhan Öztürk hocamız. Birinci bölüm dediğim gibi katılımcılarla hızlı tanışma, bölüm 2'de de tıp teknolojisi paneli yer alıyor. Türkiye'de tıbbi cihaz mevzuatı sunumunu Türkiye İlaç ve Tıbbi Cihaz Kurumu Başkan Yardımcısı Asım Hocaoğlu yapacaklar. Ve konuşmacılar arasında da Sayın Hocaoğlu var ve diğer konuşmacı Sayın Servet Sarıhan, Tıbbi Cihaz Sektör Hizmetleri Dairesi Başkanı. Diğer konuşmacımız SEİS Başkan Yardımcısı Sayın Mete Özgürbüz. Diğer konuşmacımız NYS England Zainab Garbasani, Klinik İnovasyon Müdürü. TÜMDEF Başkan Yardımcısı Sayın Tolga Sözen de diğer panelistlerimiz arasında ve ARTET Başkanı Sayın Ayhan Öztürk de var. Ve 3. bölümde de şirketlerin sunumu olacak kıymetli konuklar. Elekta Limited'den Halkla İlişkiler ve Pazarlama Geliştirme Direktörü Lynn Bowman, Randox'tan Danışman ve Satış Yöneticisi Sayın Suna Lahut, Blumhead'den Michael Watt, Kurucu ve Yönetici Direktör, 3D Metal Printing'den Printing'in CEO'su Sayın Alberto Casanato Longo, G Healthcare'den Sayın Hacer Erişkin, Ticari Direktör kendileri, Seyba Healthcare kurucusu Sayın Afşin Alp ve Galileo Healthcare Teknoloji'den onun CEO'su Sayın Ahmet Taner Tan. Ben huzurlarınıza Sayın Moderatörümüzü davet ediyorum. Buyurun hocam. Söz sizde. Buyurun hocam.
Thank you very much for all coming. Ben İngilizceye döneceğim müsaadenizle. Eğer ihtiyacınız varsa da arkada dağıtıyorlar. I hope you can hear me, Tony, Professor Young. I think we are running a little bit late. There was a little bit, we need to change the rooms. So if you can hear us, please give us a signal so we can introduce the Davos panelists and you, preferably. This panel is the future of medical devices and consumables. I will be co-chairing, the moderator, with Tony Young. There's still some technical difficulties, I presume, but let me introduce...
Tony, do you hear us?
Can hear you now.
You can hear us. Excellent. Greetings from Istanbul.
You cannot hear the salon. Just a moment. Tony bizi duyuyor.
I can hear you now.
Oh, excellent. How about me? Now, can you hear us? No? Maybe, why don't I start introducing our panelists and then we get it figured out along the way. So, there's a famous Turkish phrase, kervan yolda kurulur. So we start building the panel along the way and hopefully the technical problems will be solved. That's how we start big projects everywhere in Turkey, so that's fine. So, Asım Hocaoğlu, Deputy President, or dear TICAK, if you just join me here, next to the government lineup people over there, so we will be fine, and facing the industry on the other side. Mete Özgürbüz, he is representing TOB and SEİS. Tolga Sözen, TÜMDEF, also essentially we also co-coordinating with him our Istanbul Health Industry Cluster. Dear Ayhan Öztürk from Artet, please take your chairs. How about now, Young? Tony, can you hear us?
Hey, well, if you can see me, I can hear and see you, so we've got a result.
Oh, excellent. So I was taking the initiative to starting the panel here. We were a little bit late, so instead of giving a presentation, Ansım Hocaoğlu, our Deputy President of the TSK, the Turkish FDA, was kind enough to switch it to a question. So we will immediately start with our Davos-style questions, if you are okay with it. You were very energetic this morning. Do you want to also give us a good introduction to this panel and give us a kickstart?
Okay.
Then we'll ask some questions to the presenters, to the attendees, panelists here.
Well, thanks so much. And I think I'm very much in your hands. So we're going to this is a real blend, isn't it, of virtual and real. I would so much rather it was real and I was there in person. I think there's so much opportunity, but I've already had an invite to come over, so I'm really looking forward to that. I think this is a great opportunity in this area. It's a really important area for NHS England, medical devices, medical technology, so many things we do in healthcare. This is absolutely fundamental to in what we're doing. NHS England have set various plans out in the long run of how we want to transform our services through innovation. And we'll work with anyone we can find that's got great innovations that deliver, cost savings, clinical outcome improvements, can help us transform our services and care. So look, I'm really looking forward to hearing from colleagues and the companies that are going to pitch, both from the UK and Turkey and from other panel members as we have our discussion now. And again, my apologies that this is virtual. We had everything booked. I was set to come and then I was stopped by NHS England on Monday. A decision was just made. And I can't tell you how sad I was. I think you're all going to have a great time, especially this evening. The dinner looks like it's going to be great and a great chance to network and build those bridges.
Don't worry, Tony. You are in a big screen now between our panelists, and you're presiding like over the whole. You are in a great spot now for us, so everybody can see you, hear you, no problem.
Okay, great. So look, how do you want to run it? Should we run through some questions with us? Should we get the panel to introduce themselves?
Yes, that's the introduction, right? Why don't you start with yourself, maybe a couple of sentences introduction, then I take over and we will do a quick introduction and maybe end up with few sentences like, why are we here, right? Maybe like 2 minutes tops. Is that okay?
That sounds like a great idea, but you've set me a challenge because people know I struggle to get my introduction done in 2 minutes. So look, I'm still a practicing surgeon in the National Health Service. I'm an associate medical director across Mid and South Essex, the third largest hospital group in the country. We spend about £2 billion a year on healthcare in our area here. I'm the chair and director of medical innovation at Anglia Ruskin University, where I lead the National Clinical Entrepreneur Programme there. And then I'm also the National Clinical Lead for Innovation at NHS England and Improvement. So a clinician who is in a leadership role for a whole nation's healthcare innovation. I mean, I think it's one of the greatest jobs in the world. I get to see the latest, greatest things from across the entire planet because the NHS is the largest single purchaser of healthcare anywhere. And so they come and show us their stuff. And that's why I love events like this, because you get to see things that people are exploring and experimenting with in other countries. And you often gain a piece of insight, the way they're using things, the way they've deployed it or dealt with a particular situation. So I'm super excited to hear from other people. And at that point, I think it's 2 minutes, so I'll shut up.
Thank you, Tony. This was a great introduction. And your motivation really gave us a good jump start to the panel. Let me introduce myself. I'm Cengizhan Öztürk. I'm also an MD originally, but I got cured. I got a PhD in biomedical engineering, and I'm currently a faculty member at the Institute of Biomedical Engineering at Boğaziçi University. That's my full-time job. And a second full-time job is I am currently coordinating an Istanbul health industry cluster, which is funded by Ministry of Technology and Industry. So that means, with that, I will give the microphone to Asım Hacıoğlu to introduce himself and give why are you here at the end.
Teşekkür ederim. Adım Asım Hocaoğlu. Türkiye Tıbbi Cihaz Kurumu'nda başkan yardımcısı olarak görev yapıyorum. Bugün burada sizlerle birlikte olmak çok güzel. İnanılmaz güzel bir topluluk içerisinde çok güzel paylaşımlar yapıyoruz. Burada tabii temel olarak benim söyleyebileceğim ya da katkı sunabileceğim konu tıbbi cihaz regülasyonlarının ülkemizdeki uygulanan kural setlerinin dünyadaki AB regülasyonlarıyla beraber tam uyumlu hale getirilirken yaşadığımız süreç. Ben bu süreci arkadaşlarımla ve ekibimle beraber yönettim. Ve tabii ki bizlerin de bakan yardımcılarımızın, kurum başkanlarımızın ve sektörün destekleriyle beraber Avrupa Birliği Komisyonu'yla çok zorlu mücadelelerle Türkiye'de 2017'de 745 ve 746'yı uyumlaştırdık. Belki bu anlamda katılımcılara bilgi paylaşım noktasında faydam olur. Teşekkür ediyorum tekrar.
Thank you. Tony, would you be able to get the simultaneous translation into English when Asım talked previously?
I couldn't quite hear you. If you just said, "Can I get the translation to work?" It's cutting out, I'm afraid.
Oh, okay. Maybe we'll utilize English as much as possible. Go ahead, Mete.
Okay. Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity. That's a great pleasure being here and discussing with you about our field. My name is Mete Özgürbüz. I've studied chemical engineering in minor and bioengineering in major. I'm the chairman for the Turkish Medical Device Business Council, working under TOB. TOBB is the supreme organization of private sector in Turkey. So if you want to do any kind of business in Turkey, it's mandatory to be
Pay dues.
to pay dues, yeah,
That's
to
right.
pay dues. So
All company pay dues to talk.
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. So that and taxes, you know. So I'm also a deputy chairman for Turkish Health Employers Association, which is a lobby organization working. It's also built by law, so it's another organization to make lobby in economic fields about the medical device industry. So I'm happy.
Give it the highlights, please. If you
Okay.
continue, the whole panel will be filled up.
Okay, then
Change your affiliation.
it's over. Let me give some time.
Okay, my name is Tolga Sözen. I'm the second generation executive manager of our family business. We are in pharmaceutical and medical devices, manufacturing, exporting, importing, marketing, and everything over 60 years. I have many hats in the different associations, both in pharmaceuticals and medical devices. And one of my duties is to coordinate the cluster with Professor Dr. Denizhan Öztürk. So I'm currently busy with the medical device regulation, you know, the industry's adaptation, and also the exports. That's one of my areas of specialty, and you know, the rest manufacturing and that. So as the program continues, there will be some contributions from my side on these subjects. Thank you.
Should I continue?
Please, Ayhan Öztürk.
Thank you for the invitation. I joined today under two, I think, responsibilities. One, I'm the chairperson for ARTET, which is the research-based multinational companies association in Turkey. basically we have global large 18 companies as our members, from Medtronic to Johnson & Johnson, Abbott, Boston Scientific, Siemens, Philips, a lot of large companies. And we advocate for the access of new technology in the country, outcome-based healthcare system, and obviously we would like to create a more sustainable healthcare ecosystem. My other responsibility is I'm the vice president for Medtronic in a region called Turkey, West Asia, and Levant, 17 countries. And Tony would know Medtronic has quite significant partnerships with NHS. We manage quite a few cath labs with NHS under our services and solutions business. I think this is something I also would like to talk about as the future of medtech. Where are we headed? It's not only the technology itself, but it's also partnerships and outcome-based models which are crucial for the future of healthcare.
Okay, thank you very much. This was a quick round of introductions for all the panelists and moderators, I presume. Now we're going to do a little of round of discussions, Q&A session. Tony, you will follow up. Do you have questions, startup questions to get us going?
I do, but I also have another colleague from NHS England who's joined me. And I think it would be great if Zainab could just introduce herself briefly. Zainab, do you want to let them know who you are and what you do?
Hi, can you all hear and see me?
We can hear you, but we cannot see you. That's why I'm sorry, I couldn't see you, but I thought that was a technical question. My bad. Please go ahead, introduce yourself as well as a panelist.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys today, so thank you for inviting me. My name's Zainab. I work with Tony in NHS England, NHS Improvement, and technically we're kind of the centre for the NHS in England, so we look after all of the policy, the strategy and the commissioning of health services for our country. Within that huge organisation, I sit within innovation, research and life sciences. So we look after innovation companies and how to make sure that NHS is innovation ready, how we make sure that innovations are accessible to patients. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was a very good, quick introduction. So let's start with the Q&A. Tony, should I start or?
Well, I think it's quite helpful to understand if there are members of the audience and they've got particular things, the sorts of things I thought might be relevant, and I'd really be interested to hear your thoughts, particularly if there's something that people want to get out of the session today, specifically. Things I've got on my mind thinking about, I support over 300 life science startups in the UK, all who are looking to grow internationally. And the sorts of things they want to hear is, what recommendations do the panel have about how to be successful in establishing yourself in Turkey? Who do they need to go and see? What are the key steps they need to take? And a follow-up to that, what government support is available? How do the Turkish government help facilitate that journey of people developing the relationships, building the trading relationships? So I'll start with those two. Top tips from people and I suspect we can do the same thing for Turkish companies wanting to come into the UK, and that's where Zainab and myself particularly specialise. How does that sound?
Yeah, okay. Why don't you start from the UK side then, with the questions to Zainab and yourself, and then we follow it up later with the Turkey here.
Okay, that's great. Zainab, do you want to start with your top tips things? So Zainab has worked in our academic health science networks, which are our 15 regional networks across the country, about helping new innovations get taken up at scale across the system. So Zainab, what top tips you've got for Turkish companies wanting to come and work with the National Health Service, and thoughts around what support the NHS and the UK government can give to help particularly those medical technology companies?
Yeah, thank you, Tony. So I guess with any health system, the NHS is very complex. So even though we are one system, we're actually made up of loads of different organisations, and we commission services on a regional and a national scale. So with that being said, we have loads of different programmes to help people navigate that complexity. So we have programs that look at the funding of innovations. So if you're looking for funding support, if you're looking to be able to create prototypes, evaluate your innovation, we have programs such as the Small Business Research Initiative for Healthcare, which is also called SBRI for short. We also have organisations such as Innovate UK, who also offer funding. We also support the innovations and local companies to be able to spread regionally. So, for example, we have academic health science networks, and these are plugged into our regional healthcare system. So they work directly with hospital trusts, they work directly with local community services to be able to spread your innovation. And we also have, on a national scale, programs such as the NHS Innovation Accelerator, and that will help you scale your innovation more widely. So there's loads of different programs available in the UK to be able to help industries and companies come in and spread. And I guess my top tips are that complexity, just to be able to start to really to do your research beforehand. So try and understand where in the UK you might want to start off with, if that might be in primary care, so community practice, or in a hospital trust, if there's a specific region or specialty. So maybe just try and do a bit of research about the healthcare system in the UK. And there's loads of great sources online, for example, the King's Fund. In addition to that, though, I guess another top tip is just to understand what the UK's priorities are. So, for example, health inequalities and reducing those, and also trying to enable environmental sustainability within your innovation is also very important to our health system. So if you can be able to show that you're doing that with your innovation, I think that's a great start. And just things like being able to start thinking about your metrics. So what great things have you already done? So once you come to the UK, you can already pitch your innovation in the best light possible and say that this is the impact you are making for patients.
Great, Zainab, thank you. I think that's super helpful. And to give you an idea of the scale, NHS England spend over £100 million a year on our innovation life science research unit that we have at NHS England. That's just on innovation support. But if you look particularly down at things like artificial intelligence, the AI lab at the Department of Health, we spend over £250 million we're spending on that program at the moment. So if you've got a company that has artificial intelligence in its processes and pathways, there are extra sources of funding. Zainab spoke about the small SBRI, small business research initiatives. These are contracts for research to help you test and evaluate your ideas in market in the United Kingdom. This last year, we've given £26 million to small businesses to help them start up their ideas relevant to the NHS and healthcare. Myself and Zainab sit in the team that set the call. So we've had a recent theme around cancer and improving access to cancer services, urgent and emergency care. We've had a call around environmentally sustainable devices and innovations in healthcare. So we kind of set the policy in the center, but also we work with colleagues at the Department of International Trade for helping companies such as those from Turkey find a sweet spot to land in the United Kingdom. Where would I best be based? Where is it they're going to be most likely to find customers and people who can help me test and evaluate what I'm doing? And with regards to a top tip, I've seen this work many times. And if you don't do this, I've seen people fail many times. So I'm not sure it is my ultimate top tip, but it's a great one. And it's if you're a foreign company trying to set up in the NHS, get a UK employee, someone who knows the system in the United Kingdom, has networks and can be in the country full time. Now, when you start, you can fly in and out and come and go. But if you're really serious about that, and I've particularly seen, and I learned that from the Israelis, they have a large medtech sector, very ambitious. They put someone in country who knows the system and take them forward. And there are several Israeli medical technology companies that have really grown and expanded because of that little bit of insight. I know it's nice to think, well, we can just visit and do this occasionally, but my experience is that you've got to have someone in country who understands it. And I suspect you might say the same will be true of Turkey. If a British company wants to come to Turkey and work, you've got to have someone who knows the systems and that local knowledge and networks. But that will be my top tip. So I hope that Zeynep and I have helped a bit.
It is great. So then following on that note, how we supporting the local SMEs here with some public policies and local initiatives and like clusters. Maybe let me give the floor to Tolga Bey to talk a little bit what is available as support for SMEs and what is available for big companies, for investors, and maybe
I have more questions for the England, if you allow me. Yeah,
maybe
because
we can do that.
as a company who tried to get into UK market, since I got Tony on the screen, so I like to play some questions.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
No, please go ahead. He seems to say that we're setting up the policies, we're writing the incentives, and
well, he gave one tip that's good. Having a local in the country. Yes, that's a good suggestion. We tried to get into NHS tender for the blood bags. That was a few years ago. So one of the things, when NHS opens a tender, especially in the blood bags, I don't know the other items. It includes the Commonwealth countries, so you have to distribute the product maybe to 3 continents. And so beside the local person, we need distributors who can who have experience with the NHS tenders. So I don't know whether you can name or send a list later on. Some respectable distributors we can use to enter this tender, because distributing to 30 or 80 hospitals, I don't remember now, to 3 continents, and this is a big job. So this is one of them. The second one you ask for, NHS asks for a GMP certificate, GMP inspection report, in addition to the ISO 13485 certificate. And at this moment in medical devices, our Ministry of Health doesn't do GMP inspections for medical devices. So if we don't have the certificate, then NHS appoints a inspector for GMP. Well, this is also very costly. And maybe this message to Mr. Hocaoğlu to allow volunteer GMP inspection for the medical device companies for some European countries. That would be great help. But yeah, the biggest difficulty we faced is the massive distribution list of NHS.
Okay. So thank you for that. You broke up a little bit, but I got the gist of what you were saying in those 2 areas. So I think the tender you were involved with, I'm not familiar with the exact one you were involved with, but it is very unusual for the Department of Health or the NHS to go out with one of these global tenders involving multiple countries. So there must be something very specific about that thing. And what I would say was, if something like that comes up, colleagues from the Department of International Trade, be really happy to connect you with people either at NHS England, maybe that's in our academic health science networks, or another relevant part of our system, to help you in that process and understand that. Because when we go out for tender, we're not actually trying to exclude companies, we're trying to bring a broad, diverse group of people into providing the highest quality, most cost-effective solution for us. And if something has occurred in the process that's gone on, that's actually led to excluding really bright, great companies, that's not our intention, that's not what we want. But now you know me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn if you feel such a thing in the future. And I'll do my best. I can't guarantee I'll get you a solution, but I can move it along. we can get you in front of the right people to see what we can do and take forward. But our intention is always...
I met all
Yeah,
the
go on.
top guys of NHS, you know, in this purchasing area. Once we had a meeting with the top guys, but I also warned them, you know, with this way you are restricting the competition, and after a while there will be only one or two companies, only limited number of companies who can serve worldwide and with such difficult you know, conditions, requirements, yeah. But
so,
anyway,
I mean, I'd be very happy if you wanted to send me the details of that particular incident that occurred. I'd be very happy to find the right bit of the system to talk to about that and say, what went on here? Can we explain? Because it would be helpful to provide that. And so if colleagues from DIT who are there with you can capture those details for us, very happy to look into that for you, no trouble at all.
Okay, I do this separately. On the other subject, you know, for Turkey, I think we give it to Ayhan because as representing the foreign companies, he knows which best way to enter the Turkish market, right?
We can start globally or nationally, depending on one. We want to take give us a global perspective of in terms of how things are developing globally, and in reference to that, what's happening in Turkey.
Well,
from your perspective, then we
yes.
go to Mete, and he can give us national perspective of the industry, who's doing well, who's doing bad, and maybe give a little bit perspective on SMEs and what's available on the government side in terms of support for national or maybe international companies. I can fill the gaps. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I can try to give you a glimpse or tip of the iceberg in terms of the market in Turkey. How should you best position yourself to be operational in this country? Obviously, Turkey is quite a large market when it comes to medical devices specifically. And we know that there is still a large opportunity to grow, because as Turkey has increased access to care dramatically in the past 10-15 years, especially now with the large PPP hospitals, the big city hospitals we call them, access has been increased by 10-fold, 20-fold. The increase of access to healthcare in virtually every city brings an abundant number of patients to the system. So there isn't a shortage in terms of number of patients. Access is there, but the referral channels are not fully, let's say, connected yet. So you would expect more cases coming out of Turkey with such a big population, but the missing link is the referral channel still. Now, with the rapid digitization, what we saw in the earlier sessions by Deputy Minister, Turkey is now harnessing a much bigger data, and with that data, I'm sure more will be achieved. Now, the tough part of Turkey is, although it's a big market, access is growing, there is a universal healthcare system, right? Virtually everything is covered by the National Payer Association. But the problem with Turkey is that doing business in Turkey has proven to be very costly, especially recently. And the cost basically comes from two elements. The national currency is sliding and has been sliding for some time, but we have seen a much steeper slide in the past weeks and months. That is proving to be very challenging for companies who are importing into the country, simply because every time the currency fluctuates, more in favor of dollars and euros and whatever, your costs and then the ability for you to really price your products in the market becomes very challenging. Now, if you're planning to enter into Turkey to sell in the market, you need to be mindful of this fact that between the time you invoice and collect, you might be facing steep devaluation. That might be detrimental for your growth. Now, we know that Turkey has been trying to fix its payments to the industry for some time. We haven't seen a resolution of this matter yet, but at the meantime, Turkey has initiated a more central purchasing act, with the DMO, as we call it in Turkey, the central purchasing. The commitment under central purchasing is, instead of waiting for 2 years or 3 years collection from various hospitals, the central purchasing promises or commits to pay in a 90 days more or less time frame, which is unseen before, unheard of. So far, they have been able to keep up with that commitment, which is good to see. But we still expect that the previous activities which we still did not collect, which are outstanding for almost 2 years, should be resolved very quickly, simply because every day the equivalent, the value of that uncollected amount is shrinking in terms of dollars or euros. Now, if Turkey can fix the cycle between purchasing and payment, Turkey can maintain quite, it's a very competitive market. Personally speaking, I manage 17 countries under my company Medtronic, and Turkey has been getting the lowest prices globally for most of the medical device. However, now with the devaluation, I don't know how Turkey can sustain that, because now the problem is whatever you sell to Turkey ends up in a parallel market, whether it's medical device or pharmaceutical products, and that is probably one of the bigger concerns for global companies.
So we can buy it here and ship it to UK.
Well,
No, that's not going to work. No.
It's not going to work. Hopefully there are regulations around this, but what I'm trying to say here is Turkey has been enjoying this low price environment for a long time.
Right.
But with the local currency losing much of its value, plus the long collection times, is the biggest threat for Turkey in terms of securing its position in the global supply chains. Because, as we all know, the entire global supply chain, whether it's foods, cars, raw materials, medical device, is under huge pressure. And securing a healthy product supply becomes even more difficult for even for the best paying countries. So
Right.
if you want to be, let's say, prioritized in this difficult times, you have to have a perfect functioning price collection, regulation environment for you to secure your position in the global supply chains. So I think that's what I can say at this point.
Thank you very much for giving us this global perspective. I think we are living in very interesting and turbulent times, right? And if the famous butterfly example, right? A butterfly flaps its wings somewhere in Australia, and we get the effects of it. In Turkey's case, that butterfly flapping caused a tsunami here somehow. That's
Correct.
an interesting time. Even more challenging and exciting times in Turkey. Going back to you, Mete, so in these turbulent times, with this global perspective, how are the medical device sector doing locally here? And who's winning, who's losing in these times? And then give us a little bit more perspective, what is available for local SMEs. Maybe we can fill out also whether some of it is also available for startups or big companies in UK.
Okay, thank you. First, let me start with to answer your questions. First, let me start with a thing that's previously mentioned today. We're good trade partners with UK. UK is the second largest export spot for Turkey, and we're the, I think, 18th one for UK as well. So it seems that we're having good trade with United Kingdom. But I can't say, unfortunately, I cannot say the same for the medical device field. Why? Because when we were talking with our friends from Ministry of Health about this organization, they asked for good exporters, good medical device manufacturers from Turkey doing business with UK. So I've called many friends. Couldn't find the, how can I say, yes, I couldn't find a successful exporter or how can we say, a strong exporter to UK. So it seems as a bad thing, but it also shows as a good opportunity window. As it's an informal state policy, a government policy in Turkey, the government is trying to foster production in Turkey, seeing Turkey day by day as a production base for Europe. So maybe 10, 20, 50 years ago, Turkey was a good business partner as a market. But nowadays, maybe a better strategic approach can be using Turkey's abilities as a manufacturing base. So I think we have lots of other opportunities if you take a glance from this perspective. So Turkey has done very good things in health. We were discussing with one of our friends, one of our managers in Ministry of Health, and he also mentioned Turkey has gained 14 years in life expectancy at birth in 14 years. 1 year for a year. It's an unbelievable ratio. So how Turkey can do this? How could we manage this? It really taken a great help from the medical device field, because if you can successfully manage using medical devices, medical systems, it gives a lot in your healthcare system. It will boost your healthcare system, and Turkey has done a very good job doing this, as Ayhan mentioned. Nowadays, it's getting harder to say that, because we're having difficult times because of the exchange rates and other things. Turkey was very dynamic always, but it's much more and more dynamic these days. So for a UK company who really wants to make business in Turkey, the waters are a little bit rough now, I can say. So they should get the help they can take. It's very important. So let me just try to give a slight perspective. The PricewaterhouseCoopers has a report saying, it's an old one, but I think it's still on use in many perspectives. They're talking about 5 pillars of innovation. If you want to do medical innovation in your country or in a region, you should take a glance. You should follow 5 pillars. What are these? First one is powerful financial incentives. If your government spends a lot on healthcare, in medical technology, in medtech, you have a large market, so you have more competitors, and more people, researchers, business people are willing to enter to the system. That's an important point. When we look at Turkey's, what Turkey is doing, for example, the US is spending 18% of the GDP for healthcare. We are, I think we're floating around 4.5, which is the lowest rate in OECD countries. We believe it should be much higher than this. If you want to foster innovation, medtech innovation in Turkey, that's a good point. That's an important point. The second one is leading resources for innovation. As you know much better than me, we have good universities, especially in our major cities like Istanbul, Ankara, Izmir, but I think we have over 200 universities. We have very good researchers, and we all know that technology is an HR function. The old people are thinking that technology is a is a thing related with electronics, robots, stuff like that. No, technology. We all know that technology is depending on human each and every day. So good human resource is a very important point. We're trying to do the best we can in Turkey. Maybe you can tell much better than me. The third one is supportive regulatory system, which Asım will also tell, give information about, so we will listen to him. But I can say that we are completely compatible with the European system. So when we want to take an innovation to Turkey, we follow exactly the same rules what they do in Germany or France and before Brexit, UK. So that gives a serious quality advantage, I can say. If we think about the third world countries, which is a good barrier for entry. So I believe it was MDD, now it's MDR, Medical Device Regulation, so we're following the same rules in Europe, which is very important. Demanding and price insensitive patients is the fourth one. As Ayhan mentioned, we have a perfect social security system in Turkey, which is a blessing and a curse.
Too perfect.
Yeah, too perfect. Maybe it's too perfect. Why? Because 99, I think over 99% is covered under this umbrella. It's a very good system if you look from a social perspective, but it's a very bad one for innovative ones. Why? Because if you want to do innovation, nobody understands what you're doing, and you should prove yourself on the market. So you have to tell your innovation to the state officers. They should understand this. They should support you. They should make the right regulations, and they should pay you back. They should reimburse. That will take a very serious long time. And if you say, I'm not doing this, I will walk my way, you have less than 1% on the market, which is a real nightmare for a medtech company trying to make innovation. Supportive investment community, as we all know, all over the world, supporting medtech is an issue. It's not only our problem. If you're not living in Boston or California, it's always an issue. It's also an issue, I guess, in UK, because we're following the Europe very closely in this field. But Turkey has gone a serious. Turkey has walked a serious way. Now we have some funds. We don't have a fund who's completely dedicated itself to medtech, but we have good funds, as you know. So each and every day, our good human force, I can say, is working, is willing to work in a medtech field. They're very dedicated and they're really smart. So I can say that we're having good days in this financial field. But when we come to the same thing again, because of the reimbursement, because of the DMO, Central Procurement Organization, and how can we say, with the programs like that, it's not a very easy thing to come and directly make business in Turkey. What we can suggest to a UK company or any other foreign people come and do business in Turkey, maybe an employee in UK is enough to make business in UK, but you should have more than an employee to make business in Turkey, I believe. You should have good trading partners who are experienced in the field, who can understand this extremely dynamic ecosystem and support you. What are we good at? Turkey is a good manufacturing country, as we all know. Maybe we're trying to do a better job in the new economy, as Europe is willing to force us into, like, the new MDR or the Green Deal. The economy in Europe's mind is slightly different, but we're trying to do the best we can with our startups to enter and send leaders to the field. But we are good at manufacturing. What are we good at? We're good at electronics, devices, hospital furnitures, operating room equipments. We're very good at plastic consumables. I can give you an example. As we all know, because of the pandemic last year, the breathing circuits was a major field in the world because we were all alone and we couldn't ask any help from outside. We should solve the problems by ourselves. So the Turkish companies manufacturing breathing circuits has completed manufacturing Turkey's need in 2 days. All years need in 2 days. So we're among the largest largest manufacturers in the world in plastic consumables.
For the ventilators.
Yeah, and ventilators. We have also technological equipments, implantables, biomaterials, ocular lenses, drug-eluting stents, grafts, other things like that. So we're good at implantable technologies as well. We're good in many fields. If any can produce it, we have the abilities to produce in Turkey. So these times are more important times to foster cooperation in manufacture, I believe, with Turkey, because as it's all spoken today, the world is changing very rapidly. We're two countries with very rich histories, very tremendous histories. So doing cooperation in manufacturing would really mean a golden era again between Turkey and UK, as far as I believe.
Okay. Thank you. I guess so. This was a perspective both globally and locally in terms of medtech here. If I summarize it, I guess there are specific challenges for Turkey, for startups in terms of starting with its payment system. And as far as I know, when I started this cluster business 5 years ago, we were spending $500 per person. Today is a little maybe $300 per person. If I'm extrapolating that, the government will manage to spend $0 in 10 years or so. 15% of healthcare spending is only on medical devices, but that's usually the ones that is cut first, unfortunately. But in terms of SME support, we heard there are support from the UK side, well, for the startups, and we have also local support here, people. The way we set up the government purchasing shop or deals here, it's a little bit higher threshold to enter the market. So having a global connections, maybe to grow it initially, test it in several fields and come back to Turkey could be an agenda, or utilizing support structures of both countries could be an idea. The focus of this session is SMEs. We will be watching sample SMEs next, like the way we started 30 minutes late, so we have around 20 minutes or so left for this panel, according to my watch. Then we will have short elevator style pitches for several companies, one line up after another. I will ask our panelists to sit around and watch it from this screen if they are available still, and maybe we will have a short comments afterwards inspired by the presentations from UK and Turkish partners. So far, do you have any quick comments, Tony, on these questions or comments that have been raised locally here? We watched the UK support. We saw more global and national perspective for medtechs in terms of insights into the market and unique challenges, Turkey.
Sure. So thank you, and really interesting. You know, I think our colleague from Medtronic gave a perspective, didn't it, from a globally leading medical technology company on the challenges that are faced. I can speak from my experience of Medtronic in the United Kingdom and the NHS, and they've been very proactive in looking at new ways of working and you know, traditional models of purchaser and provider things, you know, having a managed service, for example, across medical technology. So, for example, in Essex, many of our interventional cardiovascular suites, and we're now looking at GI as well with them, building relationships around a complete managed service. So I get what they're saying. I hadn't really thought about currency fluctuations. That's not my role as a surgeon normally. But actually, by having bases in multiple parts of the world, having those relationships, you kind of de-risk that because you haven't got everything in one particular economy. I thought the comments about understanding the Turkish system really important, and it made me think of, do you know, I'd actually like something to come out of this session, and I don't want you to think I'm a heretic because I'm proposing that we should actually deliver something solid and tangible, and now I sound like a revolution.
For a
But, you know,
change.
well,
from a panel.
but why can't? What's the point if we don't do that? And do you know what I was thinking? There's an opportunity of collaboration over startups and SMEs. I run the biggest workforce development and training program in the world in healthcare, life sciences, innovation, particularly around medical technology and startups. And I'm thinking between what I'm doing here and what you're doing in Turkey, particularly in your life science cluster that you were discussing,
Right.
isn't there an opportunity for, I'd be very happy, for example, to open up, our program is now digital and all online, that to some of your SMEs in Turkey so they can see and learn what we're teaching all our great British startups to do. Right. And kind of the quid pro quo is, what are the opportunities around working with you in your life science cluster to expose some of our companies to understanding your issues, selling into the Turkish market space, but also co-creating. We haven't got all, you know, the best brains in the world in Britain, and we certainly don't have all the best manufacturing facilities. Could we be looking at building partnerships where some of the things are done in Britain and some of them are done in Turkey? And I think if you and I take the step forward of saying, well, let's agree a collaboration between our life science cluster here and what you're doing in the NHS entrepreneur program, I'd be up to committing to doing something in that.
That's a great initiative, Tony. Thank you. And as a moderator, I'm asking to myself, how do you respond to that? And I'm all for it. And it couldn't be any more timelier, because we got some initial funding support. Actually, two of them. One for startups and one for slightly larger SMEs, accelerator program on MedTech. With that, we will be kicking off in the upcoming months, which will also able to dive into several vertical themes on digital health or rehabilitation technologies. And I know you have a very much developed clinical innovation system, which will probably have to learn to emulate at one point, but your corresponding partners are in the audience now, not as a panelist here, so I cannot ask direct questions. How are they going to incorporate those innovation programs within our government health systems yet? But your offer is well received and very timely, and we will certainly talk a little bit more details. We can certainly accept and provide soft landing and counterparts and matchmaking, SME to SME or SME to manufacturer from UK side towards the Turkey side. Could be very easily done within our cluster. Do you want to add something?
Well, can I just have one more ask? Sorry, as I'm on a roll, because we've got Medtronic here, who are one of the largest global medical device companies. Do you want to come and support us? Help us make this happen between Turkey and the UK?
I mean, he is shaking his hands.
Yes, he has too much money.
He crossed his hands. He doesn't want to even touch the microphone.
Well, hang on. Let me put a perspective for you. One of the startups on the program I run, called Touch Surgery, Medtronic bought for an undisclosed amount, but hundreds of millions of dollars, about 18 months ago. So we have a really good relationship working with Medtronic, and so look, you can say no, but if I don't ask, I won't get, will I?
Sure. I mean, for a joint program, you're saying, Tony, right?
No,
well, let's explore it. I'm not asking anyone
this.
to open their checkbook. I'm just saying, are you willing to sit round the table and see what we can do to make this happen?
Yeah, okay.
Well, since the table turned on us as Medtronic in this room, thank you, Tony, for the great words about Medtronic. I know you guys have a very strong program for the managed services in the UK, and Medtronic takes this very seriously. And I think the outcomes are very impressive. So the NHS as a system is very satisfied with Medtronic's partnership. What Medtronic can play between the UK and Turkey in terms of bridging some of these gaps, building relationship, we certainly would like to do this, but I'm afraid it's a bit out of my expertise area. But what we can do is the UK Medtronic office can probably play a bigger role here in terms of giving us the right relationship, connecting us with the right ecosystem in the UK. And I would be honored to follow up on the Turkey side. Why not? Yes.
Okay, so I guess that's almost a yes, with connecting us to the UK. Okay, that's more than we get usually. Okay, that's great. How about Tolga Bey? You want to comment on some of the things that Tony started? Then I'm going to move a little bit more towards Asım before we finish the panel and talk a little bit about MDR perspective for SMEs. That was a little bit, I guess, received differently as panic or preparation from the UK side as well as from the Turkey side, whether it is a danger or whether it's an opportunity, and what needs to be done, what does it bring to the SMEs locally for Turkey. Maybe this could be a slightly different scenario for UK startups, so maybe we will also need to address the elephant in the room, the MDR. So why don't you start with that?
Well, my comment would be, for both sides, for the startups, for the innovation, we can make these companies meet the already settled companies. For instance, UK startups to be operative in Turkey, I mean, even for the well-established companies, Turkish market is quite difficult. So what we can do through our cluster or through other associations, we can have these startups from UK meet the Turkish companies who are interested in, so that that will be one-way channel. And the same way, we gather some Turkish startups and then send you the list with the areas of interest. Maybe you oversight, Tony, make them meet the UK companies, and then from there on, as a cluster managers, we try to solve the problems, or we help these relationships to build up. So this would be my suggestion for the startup and innovation side. And regarding the regulations, now I didn't follow up lately since UK, split from the European community. How would their regulation go? I don't know. I haven't concentrated on that yet. If they come up with different regulation, then it's a big headache for all the companies. We have having hard time complying with the MDR. Not only the difficulty, but enough people, and also the documentation. A lot of stuff to be done. So any other regulation, it's very challenging for the Turkish companies. Okay.
Thank you very much. I think let's continue on the MDR team. Asım Bey, please go ahead and give us where we are in the MDR regulation in Turkey now, and whether this brings any new difficulties or opportunities for SMEs and companies on MedTech. We need probably translation now on floor to the seminar. Okay.
Teşekkür ederim öncelikle. Tabii çok değerli konuşmacıların çok değerli bilgilerini dinleme fırsatı buldum. Bu önemli bir konu. İnovasyon, gelişim anlamında bizleri tetikleyen ve bizlerin geleceğe daha umutla bakmasını sağlayan en temel enstrüman. Tabii inovasyonda baktığınız zaman bir yenilik içeriyor olması lazım. İkincisi de bir ihtiyaca cevap veriyor olması lazım. İkisi bir arada olduğu zaman temel olarak anlamlı oluyor. Ve onun da sahada uygulanabilmesi belli başlı kural setlerinin ve regülasyonların aslında düzgün bir şekilde tanımlanmış olmasıyla alakalı. Yani ne demek istiyoruz? Eğer tanımlanmış kurallarınız sizin sahada, eğer dünyadaki global uygulamalarla beraber eşdeğer kural setlerine haizse, siz oluşturduğunuz bu inovasyonu ya da bu ihtiyaca karşılık geliştirdiğiniz ürünü çok rahat bir şekilde dünya piyasasına çıkartabiliyorsunuz. Onun dışında dünya ile uyumlu olmayan bir kural setleri içerisinde ürettiğiniz ürünü de takdir edersiniz ki tabii ki karşılığı olmuyor. Tıbbi cihaz regülasyonları açısından değerlendirdiğimizde son dönem içerisinde tabii çok ciddi bir şekilde regülasyonlarda teknolojinin gelişmesine bağlı olarak bazı sıkılaştırmalar söz konusu oldu. Burada bakılması gereken perspektif şu: acaba bu sıkılaştırmalar yeni ürünün ortaya çıkmasına engel mi oluyor, yoksa var olan ürünlerin daha da geliştirilerek yeni şekilde karşımıza çıkmasını mı tetikliyor? Ben bu anlamda biraz farklı da düşünüyorum ya da değişik bir bakış açısı size sunmak isterim. Tabii ki sağlık alanında bizim en temel iki tane tedavi enstrümanımız ilaçlar ve tıbbi cihazlar. İlaçlardan farklı olarak tıbbi cihazlar çok fazla mühendislik bilgi birikimine de ihtiyaç duyan bir alan ve multidisipliner bir alan. Tabii tıbbi cihazlardaki bu gelişimin klinik araştırma ile beraber eşleştirilmesi sonucunda aslında birbirini besleyen bir döngü elde ediyorsunuz. Dolayısıyla bir inovasyonu siz hastaya uygulayabilecek ya da belli bir tedavi parametresini karşılayabilecek bir hale getirmek için takdir edersiniz ki bunu klinik araştırmalarla gösterebiliyor olmanız lazım. Yeni regülasyonlar artık çok daha sıkı bir şekilde bu alandaki imalatçılardan klinik araştırma yapma gerekliliği arıyor. Bu ise tabii ki klinik araştırma sonuçlarının da araştırma ekosistemini beslemesi açısından bir destek olması nedeniyle, bir çıktı oluşturması nedeniyle inovasyonu daha da artıracak bir mekanizmaya yol açacaktır. Dolayısıyla önümüzdeki dönem içerisinde bence bunun değerlendirilmesi gereken alan klinik araştırma sayısının daha da teşvik edilmesi, bunların yapılmasının daha da kolaylaştırılması, belki de çeşitli mekanizmalarla beraber bunların gerek KOBİ düzeyinde gerek diğer ticari firmalar düzeyinde yapılmasının önünü açarak alınan geri bildirimlerle beraber klinik araştırmalardan bu ürünlerin çok daha verimli ya da yeni ürün haline dönüştürülebildiğinin sağlanması. Kaldı ki biliyorsunuz bu alanda tıbbi cihazlar artık yazılımlarla beraber entegre inanılmaz bir yere doğru gidiyor. Bu alanda da gerek yazılım tarafının gelişmesi, gerekse malzeme teknolojilerindeki gelişmelerin geri dönüşü bu klinik araştırmalarla beraber eşleştiğinde çok hızlı bir şekilde bir dönüşüm sağlayabilir. Bu alanda bence şunu da unutmamak lazım. Startuplar genel olarak baktığınızda büyümek için çok zor alan bulurlar. İlaç mesela bu alanlardan bir tanesi. Gerçekten ilaçta bir startup olup yeni bir büyük bir şirket olmanız veya yeni bir alanda kendinizi gösteriyor olmanız kolay değil. Ama tıbbi cihazlar öyle değil. Tıbbi cihazların gerek multidisipliner olması, gerekse regülasyonlarının ilaç regülasyonlarına nazaran daha açık olması bu alanda tıbbi cihaz sisteminde bence startupların da önünü açan bir alan oluşturuyor. Ve biraz önce Tony'nin de bahsettiği gibi çok ciddi miktarlarda bedellerle beraber bu firmalar daha büyük firmalara satılabiliyor. Dolayısıyla bence hala tıbbi cihazlar çok değerli. Belki biraz bu yeni kural setlerine uyamamaktan kaynaklı ya da uyumdaki zorluktan kaynaklı insanların üzerinde biraz motivasyon bozukluğu olabilir ama ben şunu söyleyeyim, önümüzdeki 10 yıl içerisinde bu kuralları uygulamak noktasında istekli olursak ve bunları belli destek mekanizmalarıyla beraber destekleyebilirsek çok farklı, çok değişik, çok yeni ürün gruplarının da biz sağlık alanında karşımıza çıktığını görüyor olacağız. Bu alanda belki şunu da ifade etmek gerekir. Her ülkenin kendine özgü avantajları var. Biraz önce arkadaşlarımız dezavantajlarından bahsederken ya da zor durumlarından bahsederken ülkemiz için bir de şunu da göz önünde bulundurmak lazım. Biz teknolojiye yatkın, hekimiyle, hastasıyla yeni ürünleri kullanmayı çok hızlı bir şekilde adapte olarak seven bir topluluğuz. Dolayısıyla aslında inovatif ürünlerin ya da yenilikçi ürünlerin bizim ülkemizde de ortaya çıkması veya bizim ülkemizde de çok kolay bir şekilde kullanılıyor olması mümkün. Dolayısıyla bu açıdan da bizim ülkemizin de bir fırsat sunacağını ben şimdiden tabii siz değerli dinleyicilere söylemek istiyorum ve teşekkür ediyorum hocam. Buyurun.
Thank you very much. I think we concluded the Davos round mostly because of time constraint. Tony, you want to address the MDR there? And also maybe from Zainab or yourself, you mentioned Israel is a good example utilizing the UK incentives. Are there any other good cases, examples from other countries which are benefited from the innovation system for startups in UK? Both MDR and the country examples, please. And just in a couple of minutes, please.
Yeah, of course, I can deal with the MDR in a couple of minutes. Thank you. I thought this was going so well on you. We were being friendly, and now it's like bowling me a googly, if you know what that means in cricket. It's a real stinker, that one. Right. So look, Zainab, have you got any quick thoughts on anything you've heard?
Yeah, I guess other places to learn from, and Tony probably will touch upon this a bit, but we've got loads of interactions with Africa as well. So Africa, we always talk about innovation, and it doesn't have to be something new and shiny. Actually, it could just be trying to simplify things, and Africa do that really well because a lot of their environments are low resource environments, etc. So they're definitely a place to look to. And then America, obviously, huge innovation capabilities in America. Loads of in the pharmaceutical industries, but also medical technology as well, and leading the way in a lot of like the regulation conversations. But over to you, Tony, to say a bit more.
Okay, Zainab, thank you. With the MDR, I'll deal with that very quickly. And so my colleagues in the MHRA in this country are super keen that we don't let the effects and regulatory changes we're going through because of Brexit have any impact. In fact, any negative impact. In fact, they want it to be a positive impact. So if people have got specific issues around that, we can definitely connect you in with colleagues at the MHRA who are going the extra mile to make sure we are an innovation nation and we really build forward from where we are on this. So I think I'm not going to be able to deal with the details of MDR right now on what we're going to do, but very happy to take those discussions forward with people who are interested in the audience. And I'll connect you into the right people. With regards to other countries, oh yes, so the Scandinavians and the Nordics, we've had the Swedish government over, the Finnish government we've been working with in addition to the Israelis. I'm due to go out to Texas at the Texas Medical Center over in Austin, so different bits of the United. It's very the United States is quite separate in its different ways and doesn't work together all as one. But that is an advantage in a way, isn't it, for systems like Turkey that you've described. We share some commonalities between Turkey and the National Health Service. But you know, one thing that struck me from what people have said, let's create some good news stories. If we start working together on projects, and it strikes me that SMEs and startups are quite a straightforward thing where we can start working together. Let's create those relationships. And then what tends to happen is, my experience, you tend to get to know each other, you tend to trust each other, and that is what you build trading relationships on, whether it's on clinical services or whether it's on medical device manufacturing or software and digital health or even artificial intelligence. So if we start a relationship, we say, look at this great startup from Turkey, startup from the United Kingdom, or a manufacturer in Turkey working with a startup from the United Kingdom. Let's create a series of good news stories through this so that when people stand up and say, what are you doing between the two of you? We can present a range of things. And my experience is when you do that, just like we've done with Israel, you start to really develop great relationships of trust, and then great things happen.
Thank you, Tony. I mean, that's a great segue. Let's get down to business, start doing something, focus on SMEs, and why don't we start listening to SMEs? We all sit around as panelists, and we will lose your face temporarily from the big screen, I presume, or somewhere, you maybe at the corner there, and then watch the SMEs. The panelists can stay here or they can leave, but depending on how your neck feels, watching the screen, maybe we'll have few words after the panel. If you are ready, technically, let's call our first company, Electa Limited, Lynn Bowman, according to my notes. Okay, so, okay, then you're coming, okay, excellent. So, when I utilize the screen. So thank you, finalists. Since she will giving us the overall presentations, we go back to our sitting arrangements, regular agenda. Thank you to all for contributing to our panel. Since there will be mostly face-to-face, Tony, we are leaving now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Maybe 5 minutes or 6 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that.
A true pleasure to be here. My name is Lynn Bowman. I'm the Public Affairs and Market Development Manager for Emerging Markets for Elekta. And before I start, I would just like to say a big thank you to the Turkish Ministry of Health, Department of International Trade and Embassy, and the rest being involved in this fantastic gathering. And what we will discuss today is basically the future of radiation therapy. Let's see. Here we go. So before we start with that, I'll just give a very quick introduction to our company. We are a pioneer within radiation therapy, and we are proudly celebrating 50 years as a company next year. We are 4,700 employees globally. We're treating more than 2 million patients a year, and we have more than 4,750 systems installed. Our largest single office and unit is our site at Crawley in the UK, where we have more than 700 direct employees. This is also where we manufacture and design our linear accelerators, and 95% of those are being exported. And then moving on to the Turkish side, we also have a big office here in Istanbul. It's our regional office for emerging markets, so entire Turkey, Middle East, Africa, and also Southeast Asia. This is a hub for this. Yes. And what we are also seeing is that we are expecting the increase in cancer incidence to rise the most in these markets. And in 50% of the cases and treatments, you should use radiation therapy. And as of now, there is a large gap in terms of treatment. You can see also, for example, the most common incidents like breast and lung cancer, it's even higher recommendations on using radiation therapy. Yes. And here in Turkey, we have the past years, and especially within the 4 years, seen an acceleration in providing patients with access to care. We're working both with private and public sector, as you can see. And what we're mostly proud of is that Turkey is such a pioneer within our latest technology and the future. We have 2 systems as of now, and the third one is being installed. That's our MR-Linac. And if you combine all of our systems here, around 50,000 patients a year is treated on Elekta equipment. So our portfolio, we have 5 different business lines, but discussing the future of health, I'll raise obviously oncology informatics, given that we are moving more in terms of AI, also data, remote care, and also the access and connection between doctor and patients. And then we also have, and I think it's not only our company, but majority agree of that, we're moving in terms of personalized and precise, so precision medicine. And this is where our flagship and new equipment, the MR-Linac, the Elekta Unity, comes in, because that's exactly what the Unity is doing. So it is basically a combination of a linear accelerator and a diagnostic quality MR imaging, which allows you to actually see the area you're treating in real time. So you can adapt the treatment according to the size, position, and shape of the tumor, and at the same time adjust for movements as well. And we hope that with this we will have less side effects, better patient outcome, and also shorter treatment times. And we are doing this together with partners, obviously. We have hundreds of clinicians that are working together with us to drive innovation forward. Maybe some of you are here today, and if you aren't, we're very happy to bring you on board for the future within our treatment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are there any burning questions? So you will be in the room to answer the
Yes,
questions
I'll be in the
that you follow
room.
up?
So any questions, I'll be in the room, and also my colleague Burak is here as well, who's based in Istanbul. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you also for the quick presentation. Next is Raja, Imaylis, Sunalahut, and there will be also a second presentation, I'm told, by his immediate. So back to back, I'm hoping it will be too short presentation. Great.
Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank the organizers for inviting us and providing this opportunity to present. I'm Dr. Suna Lahut. I'm the sales executive of Randox in Turkey, responsible of molecular products. And today I want to introduce you to the world's fastest point-of-care COVID-19 PCR test of Randox. But before I want to give a brief introduction to the company. Randox is one of the biggest manufacturing countries of medical manufacturing countries in the UK. It was founded in 1982 in Antrim, Northern Ireland. It employs over 1,600 people with more than 300 scientists and engineers. Its distributors are in over 145 countries. And 5% of the world's population receives medical diagnosis using Randox products each year. It's the world's #1 proficiency testing provider, and the manufacturing sites are located in the UK, Ireland, and US. In the pandemic's time, Randox laboratories have become one of Europe's biggest private COVID laboratories, reaching impressive numbers like 20 million COVID tests to date. And this success was achieved, of course, with our device Vivalitic, which is not only capable of COVID testing, but also has numerous other panels for various infectious diseases. Vivalitic is a fully automated platform for molecular diagnostics, and it is capable of going through all the steps of a PCR test automatically without any need of intervention. It works with cartridges that are empowered by the Randox patented biochip array technology. And for COVID testing, it can give positive results in as low as 30 minutes, and for negative results, it needs 39 minutes. Vivalitic provides many benefits within a single device. It is very easy to use. It has a unique test menu. It's fully automated, as I said, and it has fast results. The wireless connectivity is quite important, especially for the Turkish market, because colleagues in the field and from the Ministry of Health would know that in Turkey, point-of-care COVID testing is actually prohibited. However, here I need to emphasize that Vivalitic is a PCR test with 95% sensitivity and 100% specificity, and also with the wireless connectivity, it can connect to a Ministry of Health registered laboratory and share the results with them simultaneously. This is a machine with size similar to a home coffee machine, and it is very easily and safely transportable. So it's of course ideal for laboratories, but can also go anywhere. As for ER departments of the hospitals or the clinics, airports, doctor surgeries, cruise ships, or even to the organizations like this one. So the possibilities are endless. The cartridges are stored at room temperature, so they are very resistant to ambient temperature changes, and of course it provides ease of transportation and storage. As the device is fully automated, all reagents are included, and the sample goes through one stage to another through microfluidics. Okay, here you can follow the very easy workflow of the Vivalitic. So here you can scan the sample with the scanner installed in the device. Then you scan the cartridge of your desired infection disease. Then you insert the sample into the test cartridge. You insert the cartridge into the device, and that's all. And the results would not require any interpretation. It will simply give you the result if the patient is positive or negative for the relevant pathogen. I won't go through the panels one by one because it will take too much time, but we have respiratory infection panels where simply we have simplex and multiplex kits where we can differentiate among different viruses, viral infections from bacterial fungal infections, and simultaneously we can check for antibiotic resistance. Our R&D department have been working very hard on developing new Vivalitic panels, and there are many others are due to be released in 2022. So for further details, you can always contact me and ask for details of Vivalitics. Thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. My email is indicated on the slide, and I will be waiting if you're interested to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. This is, there will be a second presentation from the company, right? There will be a second presentation. Go ahead. Esin Yıldız, right?
Yes, Esin Yıldız. This one? No, the other one. I think another one. No.
Is there a technical problem?
Okay, so until coming, I would like to introduce myself briefly. Ladies and gentlemen, firstly, good afternoon. I'm a Turkish woman living in Northern Ireland. And my name is Esin Yıldız. I am Business Development Manager at Randox in United Kingdom. Randox Laboratories is one of the biggest private testing laboratory at United Kingdom. So my colleague, Dr. Suna, explain you the success behind the Vivalitic analyzer, the point of care analyzer. There is 3 systems in United Kingdom for COVID testing: home testing kit, clinical testing kit, and mobile testing kit. Today, I will tell you a success story about COVID testing, which can be implemented to any country with Vivalitic analyzer. So I think it will not able to start, but let me briefly explain. I don't want to take all your time. So as you already know, United Kingdom is a very big country. We have Northern Ireland, my hometown, and Scotland, and Wales, and the mainland England. Our population is nearly 80 million, if I am not wrong. So there is a big demand for testing. So how we will manage this testing? So we have clinics, we have home testing, but mobile ones can be implemented any airport. So we decided to make it very fast, and we create mobile ones. The small ones can be, moved to anywhere, and we put 60, 30, 40, depends on the demand. Perfect. Thank you. I think I deal very well, huh? So, a game changer. So, as you see here, these are the mobile ones. And we can put them all together. You can link them each other, and we can get less than 3 hours the turned around time PCR test results. It is a very niche service in United Kingdom market. Low throughput, but very high quality testing can easily expand the number of the labs as the demand, the level of the samples increases. So we installed our first laboratory December 2020, the second at January 2021, and Love's permanently placed at the site from January to February. 6 mobile units built in total. So, these are one of the biggest airports in the world: Heathrow, Liverpool, Manchester, East Midlands, Stansted, Waterloo, and Chelsea. Very shortly, I will show you. This is Heathrow unit. We have 60 analyzers on board, 13 full-time members of staff, and 190 samples per day daily. You can imagine a traveler forget to do testing and need tests at this time. They can, miss their flight. We are there to give their test results immediately. Waterloo, 40 analyzers, 13 full-time members of staff, 237 samples daily average. Chelsea, 40 analyzers. Manchester, one of the other big player, 42 analyzers, average sample number per day 300, highest output month to date August 1013. East Midlands, 20 analyzers. And Stansted, Pegasus loves this airport. 42 analyzers, average sample number per day 142. Highest output is 5,877. Last but not least, Liverpool in the city center. 8 staff members, 2 shift leads, 32 analyzers, and average sample number per day. And highest output month to date, September, 4,073. This is a good example with the high population of the countries, how to manage quick and fast testing of the COVID. And we are here as an experienced team. We can help you. You can reach us from Randox to my colleagues and me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was very quick and very well compensated for the initial technical delay there, and both projects clearly complementing each other. According to my notes, we're skipping Bloom Health, if I'm not mistaken, and continuing with 3D metal printing, right? Ms. Long, go ahead. Mr. Sorry.
Oops. Good afternoon, everyone. Just before the presentation starts, I would like just to echo what Tony and Zena were saying earlier on. As you can tell from my accent, I'm not British, but I set up my business in UK 7 years ago. And I've been, well, for everyone like you that's been involved in developing medical devices, it's a very expensive exercise, particularly getting to market. Tony was mentioning SBRI, Innovate UK, we got them all. We've been able to develop our company thanks to the support that we receive in UK, and I think I will advise every one of you, if you ever want to export your company abroad, UK is definitely a place to be. Okay, starting the presentation. So we are, how do I get on? Oops. There we are. 3D metal printing, which is the company I'm representing. By the way, my name is Alberto Casonato. It's a UK medtech company. We deliver innovative health systems and solutions. We specialize in additive manufacturing, and our mission, if you like, is to restore outstanding patient quality of life using custom-made medical devices. And we do produce a range of implants for custom-made devices, and also digital healthcare application. Our claim is that our products are designed to improve patient experience, upskill surgeon talent, and delivering a cost efficiency to healthcare system. Don't know what I did. Try it again. No, yeah. Anyway, our company's got 2 main divisions. One is additive manufacturing. Maybe I'm pressing the wrong button. Yeah. There we are. We do develop a custom-made device. We've got one division, which is cranial maxillofacial devices, and the other one, which is the most important one, is osteotomy to the knee. for the one who is not familiar with the osteotomy, this presentation is all about osteotomy, so you will learn something. Our products are obviously ISO approved. Our regulatory body is BSI, and we fully comply with the new MDR. So this is the other division, which is healthcare application. We develop integrated system for the patients. We do software. Artifacts is our planning software for the surgeon to plan surgery. We do develop VR technology. What we do, we use VR technology to do surgical training, and also surgeon can use our platform to do the briefing before the surgery. They can do it right on the spot. They can do the night before using multiplayers, remote consultation. We do a portal which is fully compliant, is compliant with GS1 technology. It's a repository file where a surgeon, clinician, our team of designers, and procurement can share files, can see the file, and where full traceability is available for product, materials, and everything. And also we do a patient app. Patients for us are the center of our company, and we believe that we can provide more to the patient, and therefore they do surgical rehabilitation, they got nutrition information, they got physical exercise to manage the pain, and also sometimes simple information like how to be prepared to go for a surgery, what to bring in hospital, how to prepare your room when you go home after the surgery, and so on. So what is presentation about? It's about sustainability. There are two types of sustainability I'm going to present today. One is a model for a sustainable solution for musculoskeletal disease. Therefore, a 3D printed personalized treatment for early knee osteoarthritis. And there we are. Knee pain affects globally 25% of the population. I would say 1 in 4 of us by the age of 40, 45 will develop knee pain. And that's related with the osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis, there we are. Within the osteoarthritis, knee is probably the worst condition. Within the musculoskeletal spending, knee spending is probably the biggest one for every single healthcare provider in the world. Very often, there are a lot of treatment for end care solution, like a knee replacement, when the pain is very high and the age is very high as well. There is very little developed on the early knee osteoarthritis, which is people between 40 and 55. And so, as we said, it's very common. We're living into an aging population, therefore the demand of knee replacement or treatment for knee is increasing, and is creating a model which is unsustainable for any healthcare system in the world. As we said, early knee osteoarthritis is underestimated, and 90% of the knee osteoarthritis start with the medial compartment. And altogether increase the demand of knee treatment in younger patients particularly, and when you treat a patient with knee replacement at a younger age, you create a greater future revision cost or burden for the healthcare. So with the number of knee replacement predicted to double by the 2030, this is creating a need for an alternative, and that's where we come in place. There is a beta pharmaceutical drug, which is activity. Again, in knee osteoarthritis disease, we know that pain to the knee reduces mobility, and reduced mobility in patients create core mobility, which, there are plenty of studies showing that a patient which is not mobile can develop obesity, diabetes, depression, also cancer and dementia. So altogether, a comorbidity is creating will reduce the quality of life for patient and will vastly increase the cost for the healthcare. So we came up, there's another slide. So there is a famous paper from David Fenson says that in a knee osteoarthritis, you need to cure the mechanics beforehand. The reason behind is if you don't cure the mechanics of the leg, you only treat halfway the patient. So you need to get effectively the knee and the leg straight. From a gait point of view, the human body is designed to, it's got a great risk of medial knee osteoarthritis because the way that we walk. So every time you see a person with the bow leg or the X leg, that is a cause of knee osteoarthritis. So what we develop a device which is an osteotomy device, which essentially is taking a leg which is not straight, hip, knee, and ankle, there we are. So what we do, we perform an operation which makes the leg more straight, and that will reduce the stress. And again, treatment which correct the pathomechanics have long-lasting favorable effect compared to all other treatment. So ITB osteotomy, or the osteotomy in the knee in general, is a cost-effective system or solution compared to unicompartmental or knee replacement, particularly in young patients. And when we say young, we mean people between 40 to 65. So HTO is a knee-preserving operation, treatment, unlike the knee replacement, and allows the patient to return to an active lifestyle, realigning the weight distribution of the knee, often cause of pain and disability. But HTO, as we know today, is a very difficult surgery. What you see over here is what goes into surgery for an HTO. There are a lot of instrumentation, and the surgeon is required to make a lot of decisions during the surgery, which ends up in a very long and expensive operation. There we are. And the result, because they're using a generic plate as a stabilization plate, create a lot of soft tissue irritation. So we came up with an alternative. We using CT scan of the patient. We do segmentation of the CT scan. We create a 3D model, and then using softwares, we support the surgeon to do the correct alignment or to plan the correct alignment, and then we create devices which are surgical guides, which contain all the reference points for the surgeon to be able to replicate the correction in surgery. And what you see in the corner is what he gets on a surgery room. Is one tiny box, not bigger than a shoebox, which contains all the components for the surgeon to do the surgery. He only requires a saw and a drill and a drill machine, and we produce all the rest. Overall, we reduce a surgery which currently is done around 90 minutes to less than 30 minutes. We reduce the inventory, and therefore the cost for the healthcare provider are reduced greatly. So how do we get to this point? As I said earlier, we are as an SME. We started the business 6 years ago, and we've been through all the pathway. I forgot to mention at the beginning, we are a spin out of the University of Bath, where we live. And so we thought at the beginning that if we want to enter the market, we have to show clinical trials, clinical evidence, and clinical outcomes. So we took the long way to market. So we started with, obviously with an idea, then we went through cadaver labs, several cadavers trials, and then we've been probably the first company in UK to do an in silico trial, which what we've been doing, we've been taking CT scan from real patients, which they've gone through HTO in the NHS, and we've been virtually implanting the same patient using our device in order to demonstrate safety equivalent, which was the first step of our journey. And that's the result. You can see a current standard, which is a generic plate. Generally comes in 3 sizes, medium, small and large. All human body are different, so our is contoured around the patient bone, which not produce any soft tissue irritation. So the next step was clinical trial. We went to Rizzoli in Italy, partly because I know them, but ultimately it's one of the biggest orthopedic centers in the world. And we did the first clinical trial, which was a success. And we are now running the second clinical trial within the NHS. It's been sponsored, again, talking about opportunity, it's been sponsored by Versus Arthritis, and is managed by Oxford University, the clinical trial research unit. This is one of the results, and just to give you the perspective, this is a sort of a diagram, pre-op of several patients. What you see as a cloud represents the knee, and what you see on the red point is where the pressure point or the kind of a change of alignment point was in the patient before surgery. In a normal patient, the red dot should be where the cloud is, and this is the result post-surgery for our patient. You will see there in the sagittal, frontal, and at the 3D view, the red dot is nearly where it's supposed to be. So, best outcome, most of the patients went home the next day. I'm going to run.
Yeah, okay.
There is less skin tension compared to and there's a quicker recovery time compared to the generic plate. And again, around 30 minutes surgery compared to 90 minutes.